This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Drive. Good morning with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Great to have you with us today. Yates Flooring Center chat line is open. Go to the Double T 97.3 mobile app for that. It's presented by Happy State Bank. Visual Edge IT hotline is open too at 806-771-0973. Monday Night Football last night. The Eagles take down Kansas City as the Chiefs held scoreless in the second half. That I think to me is speaks volumes maybe about the Eagles. I mean they're the best team in football right now. Chiefs may be the best in the AFC, but the Eagles coming from 10 down, hold them scoreless in the second half, and go to 9-1 on the season. Of course, Cowboys will be having to deal with Philadelphia there in the NFC East. But credit Jalen Hurts last night. He had a couple of scores. Had a big touchdown. It wasn't had a big throw that led to a touchdown, and the Chiefs had a red zone interception by Mahomes, and then Travis Kelce had a red zone fumble that led to empty possessions. And what do we know about turnovers? You can't commit turnovers and expect to win football games, and that's what took place last night. Hurts was 14 of 22. A pedestrian 150, had an interception, but DeAndre Swift, 12 carries, 76 yards, and then Hurts ran for 29 yards, but he ran for a couple of touchdowns. What do you think about the tush push? Do you think that should be eliminated, or is that just a good team figuring out something that's really good for them that works for them?
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. They're
not the only team that's using guys you'll see a guy, a running back, get through the line and get stopped after 2 or 3 yards, and then others start jumping in there. So I have no problem with it.
I don't either. There's some people that do, but I mean if that's what you can do, then go for it. Big drop in the ball game by Marquez Valdes-Scantling at the end. I mean, it was right there. I mean, he was running hard, and it's raining and all that kind of stuff. But he probably should have made the catch. Kelce also had a big drop. Chiefs had 6 drops. Their receivers just have not been very good this year. They've got 26 drops, which leads the NFL, and so that's you can't do that and expect to win football games. But Mahomes 24 of 43. 177 yards, a couple of touchdowns, and then had the interception. He was sacked just once, but was under duress and under pressure throughout the evening. And so that was your Monday Night Football from last night, 21-17. Chiefs took a 17-7 lead right before halftime on a field goal, and then did not score again. Had a bunch of punts, and then, like I said, had the big fumble by Kelce when it looked like they were getting ready to score. And take a lead, and not that was going to be enough for them to win the game, but it would have made it a little bit more difficult for the Eagles. So Cowboys, go ahead.
What I want to know is who came up with the strategy of trying to catch the clock play. The defensive lineman slid underneath the center when Pat was going to clock the ball.
Oh,
tried to intercept.
He tried to intercept. I wanted who thought of that, and ran it through and practice. That's who I want to talk to, because that dude or girl, could have been a girl. I don't know. Whose ever original idea that is. That's the most original idea in sports I've seen in forever. Of trying to catch the clock play.
Was that in the first half?
Yeah.
Okay, I did not see that play.
Slid under the center to the clock.
Uh-huh.
He slid under the center, had his hands out, and almost caught it.
Wow.
That's an interception at that point.
Sure it is.
That's turnover when they're trying to clock it.
Sure.
That's fantastic.
That's pretty creative.
I want to know who thought of that. I want their name.
Was that a
their
Chief
address,
or an
and I want
Eagle?
to send them a thank you card, because that was awesome.
Was that a Chief or an Eagle?
That was an Eagle that almost did it.
Almost did it. Okay. Wow. No, that is. I mean, that's a defensive coordinator or defensive line coach, somebody that's, like you said, thinking outside the box there. But you know what? Other teams will try that now.
I bet every team is putting that in the playbook right now. Every single one of them is.
If somebody hasn't thought of that already. And then that'll happen, and then somebody will figure out, okay, I got to do a better job of clocking the football. That's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool.
Well, there's only so much you can do with if you move too much when you're clocking it, then it's intentional grounding.
Yeah.
Like the rules are so defined for what you can do in that situation, because we acknowledge that you're trying to stop the clock.
Right.
We get what you're doing. It's not intentional grounding, but if you do a whole lot outside of that realm, it becomes intentional grounding and you lose the down.
Yeah, and I always when those end of halves are going like that, I always think about or even the clocking of the football where it looks like that. The quarterback standing up and then throwing it. It always seems like that might be a little bit there.
Didn't Marino do that?
He did.
And then like a year later they said that would be a penalty now?
I don't know if it's a penalty or not, but Dan Marino did do that.
I don't think you can fake the clock.
You don't think you can fake the clock?
I don't think you can fake the clock. Right. I'll look that up.
Okay.
Yeah, the Red Raiders got hit with that in a game against Texas. I think it was Potts that got called for it, if memory serves me correctly.
Called for a penalty?
Yeah, because they basically Leach had him fake the clocking and then tried to throw the football.
Okay. They used a Mike Leach play in the game on Saturday. They split out the linemen, and Garrett Luff sent me a text during the game. He goes, "Ask Coach McGuire after the game if," and this was prior to the second touchdown for Tech. Prior to the second touchdown, they had split the linemen wide. And Garrett thought, he said, I didn't really see the official make a first down signal. He goes, ask McGuire if they thought it was third and short as opposed to first down. And so I asked him that, and he said, no, he goes, we just used one of Coach Leach's ninja plays, and they defended it really well because it was a running play, and they ended up getting like short yardage on it.
I sure it wasn't a wide receiver screen. It looked like they were trying to get the bigs out there to help block on one of those slip screens.
Yeah, maybe it was.
Yeah.
He called it one of Coach Leach's ninja plays. He goes, we've used that before, and they defended it well. So it may have been. I didn't see what he was talking about, but I
think it was a wide receiver screen.
Okay. But anyway, it didn't. That particular time, it didn't work. Mm-hmm. But anyway, they tried it. If you recall that play, Red Raiders will
pretty much every particular time that we've run a wide receiver screen this year, it hasn't worked.
Yes, for whatever reason, right?
I think the biggest reason is because you don't have physical wide receivers.
I wonder if that'll be, and I'm sure it is. I mean, a recruiting initiative, or if that's where they feel like that Micah Hudson can be a difference. So though, I mean. How much of a difference can he make as a freshman?
Oh, I think a big one.
Okay.
I think a big one.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that's the thing when you go looking for wide receivers and you're recruiting wide receivers. I don't think it's the top of your list. Does this guy block well? Mm-hmm. But you sure do appreciate when they can.
Well, it's not even so much blocking. It's can they get off the line and create
space? If you can't get off the line of scrimmage, you're not a good wide receiver.
Well, but I mean, so that's been part of the challenge this year, hasn't it?
Yep.
I mean, it's been part of the problem. I mean,
you see Jared Bradley having great numbers this year?
No.
Yeah. And I mean, the book is out on how to stop him.
Yeah, and so
just jam him at the line of scrimmage.
I guess we all missed on that, because at the start of the year, you certainly thought that was going to be a position of strength for you.
Well, clearly teams weren't doing that last year when he was putting up big numbers, and he was a big factor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely got to bulk up in the off season.
Yeah, try to figure it out, see what you can do. 6:25 this morning here on the Morning Drive on Lubbock Sports Station. We'll get some comments from Coach Joey McGuire as we go through the morning here on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.
This is the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Hi, good morning with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. You might have heard this in Jeff's Sports Center. The 2024 Baseball Hall of Fame ballot is out, and among the first-timers is Adrian Beltre on the list. He's a lock, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
He's a lock.
Yeah, offensively, defensively, great dude. Everybody loved him.
I mean, you get to 3,000 hits, that's automatic, right?
Biggio had to wait. I think he had to wait 5 years.
Okay.
He had 3,000 hits.
Do you think Beltre has to wait?
If he does, Major League Baseball needs to take the votes away from the writers again.
Okay.
I mean,
it's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer, but I mean, baseball writers are interesting.
Drunken sports writers.
I was waiting for that. I was almost going to go 3, 2, 1.
I take that back. They're not drunken because drunken people like to have a good time. These people don't like to have a good time. They're teetotalers. That's who these people are.
No, they're blanking idiots.
Anybody else on this list that is eventually going to get in? I'll read you the first timers: Bartolo Colon, James Shields, Joe Mauer, Victor Martinez, Chase Utley, Jose Reyes, Matt Holliday, Adrian Gonzalez, Brandon Phillips, David Wright, Jose Bautista.
Man, there are two names there.
Chase Utley?
I think he's a possibility of somebody before that you mentioned.
Joe Mauer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe Mauer gets in.
Eventually.
I think Mauer could get in on this one.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
He was a really good player for a really, really long time.
MVP, 3-time batting champion, 10 years as a catcher, then went to first base for 5 years. He was just 35 when he retired.
Yeah, I think Beltre, Mauer, Utley, definitely all could get in.
Okay.
And will eventually, whether it's first time or not.
Well, that's it. Okay. And no chance for Bartolo Colon, right?
No.
Okay.
You got a case for him?
No.
I mean, we're just that he's fat.
I just,
So that made it fun?
I don't know.
Yeah. He's not in the Hall of Fame. He's in the Hall of Awesome, and it's different. But he also has some steroid stink on him.
There's just so many challenges there with Bartolo Colon.
He's still playing in a Mexican league somewhere.
Probably so. He's like George Foreman, who just continued to fight, well beyond his capacity, but he couldn't sell enough of the George Foreman grills. Plus he had so many kids named George that, he had to figure out a way to fund them all.
5'11", 285. That's impressive. Looking at his numbers.
That's the Bartolo Colon numbers, yeah.
Yeah, those were different kind of numbers.
Who? Well, I shouldn't ask you who else because I don't have the full list in front of me. In terms of who, we'll get to that as we get closer to the vote, which will take place, and the announcement will take place after the first of the year.
247 wins in his career.
Bartolo Colon?
Yeah, 247 and 188. Career ERA of 4.12. That doesn't sound Hall of Fame to me.
No.
The 4.12, but
no.
I mean, at times he was a good pitcher, no doubt. But like you guys already touched on, there's steroid stink there. Mm-hmm. There's a big suspension. And I just don't think that's going to happen.
I mean, if you're going to put a Hall of Fame guy in there, then in terms of a steroid guy in there, there's going to be other guys that go in way before him.
Well, there already are.
Oh.
Yeah, that's true.
Including the guy that was overseeing the whole thing.
Right. No, I'm with you. If
that's when they lost credibility.
Yeah, but see, like when he gets in, then I
was on their side until that moment.
Yeah. I'm with you. Once they put him in, then the others should go follow because he allowed all that to happen. All right, so here's some guys. So you got Beltre that's going to go in. You probably have Andrew Jones is probably going to go in this time. He's on the ballot.
Yeah, maybe so.
He's probably going to go in. I wonder how many votes Alex Rodriguez is going to get. Probably not very many. Because if Alex Rodriguez goes in or Manny Ramirez, whatever, to go in, then you'd have to go, where's Roger Clemens on this list? Right?
Yeah.
How about Carlos Beltran? Does he have a chance?
I don't think so. I think there's just too much there with him.
With the sign stealing?
The sign stealing, both in New York and in Houston. I don't think he's well respected.
What about Todd Helton?
Man, I loved Todd Helton. Loved that swing.
Okay. Does he have a chance?
I feel like he's a Hall of Very Good, though.
Yeah, maybe so.
And do you feel the same way about Gary Sheffield, or is he a Hall of Famer?
He's a cheater.
Okay.
He's a cheater.
Okay. He's right there with his
steroid guy.
He's right there with his uncle then.
Yeah,
he's in that conversation though. If you're going to let the steroid guys in, he needs to be let in.
How about Billy Wagner?
What was Doc Gooden cheating with? He's just taking illegal drugs. He wasn't a steroid guy.
Oh, I was thinking he was Barry Bonds'.
No,
but you're right. It's good.
Dwight Gooden.
Yeah, Gooden. And here's the thing. His involvement in Balco and admitted steroid use. Yeah, I mean he's not getting in, even though he's a 9-time All-Star. He's not getting in.
If they start letting the steroid guys in, which they probably should now.
I think they should.
Yeah.
He deserves to get in on that list.
I almost wonder if the first steroid guy to get in, if he was, I mean, he had 250.
He's already in. You don't think there's guys in the Hall?
No. But I mean, I'm just this. No, I do think there is. But what I was going to say is, to me, maybe the first guy of the next wave to get in would be Andy Pettitte.
Yeah, maybe.
Because at least he admitted.
Well, he admitted it.
Yeah, right. At least he admitted it.
And when his name came out, it said yes, it was, and this is what we did, and this is why we did it, and then everybody forgave him.
He had 256 wins.
Hint, hint, clue, clue.
Mm-hmm.
I think most all-time wins in the postseason, or maybe somebody broke that record recently.
But it's pretty close, yeah. And 5 World Series.
Yeah, but I mean, the Yankees had the advantage of having extra rounds of the postseason now, where they didn't back in the old days.
Sure.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Good morning with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. We'll have some NBA basketball on the air for you tonight on 100.7 The Score. The Cleveland Cavaliers playing at the Philadelphia 76ers. That'll be at 6 o'clock tonight on 100.7 The Score. We'll have high school hoops this evening for you on Double T 97.3. Friendship Cooper, both the girls and the boys, will play tonight. So we'll have that broadcast for you at 6. Friendship girls taking on the Cooper girls, and then the Friendship boys meeting the Cooper boys at 7:30. So the old girl-boy doubleheader tonight on Double T 97.3.
Looking forward to it. Should be a great matchup between those two squads.
Okay. Who has the upper hand in the girls' matchup?
See, last year I thought Cooper was going to win handily against Friendship. Handily, 8-10 at the Pirate Place, and the Lady Tigers were able to come away with a win. Got an upset victory there.
This was at the Tiger Pit tonight, right?
And this one tonight's at the Tiger Pit, so I think I'm going to lean towards Friendship.
Okay. Does it get loud in that Tiger Pit?
Sometimes. I mean,
are you pretty boisterous from your perch?
Gosh, no. You knew the answer to that before you asked it.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I just wanted to hear you say, "Oh gosh, no."
Yeah, I love it when Friendship and Cooper play in anything, just because it fills the gym, the stadium, whatever.
Yes.
Whatever. I don't care what they're playing. It seems like it's good atmosphere.
That's what we were just talking about with Tech in Texas, or Tech and A&M, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, it feels like those two teams are more evenly matched.
Okay. That's fair. Let's see here. The Puff Fund, their arrogance and their belief that they can get whatever they want, either by hook or crook. Somebody else responds to that saying, he responds to himself saying, are all reasons to hate them.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I hate the Texas Horns about as bad as I hated the Cleveland Browns in the late 60s when they were in the NFL Century Division and Cowboys were in the Capital Division of the Eastern Conference. Wow. You are going way back. I don't remember names for those divisions, but I'll bow to you. Syntax Hank says this, agree with Jamie. I don't care about any single school. I want us to mud stomp them, all of them. Who is Oklahoma State's rival? That's who I want ours to be. UT refused to meet A&M after the Ags left. They sure won't play Tech after this year. I agree with that. Raiders dad says this, no offense, Chuck. I don't want you speaking for my lifetime. I think mine's got a little more juice. Well, I don't know, Raiders dad. I mean, my mom's still pretty vibrant at 91, so, I think I still got some time left.
I think you got lots of time left.
I don't know that I'm going to make it to 91 on this show, but I mean...
I bet you'll get closer. We can't have you leaving, man.
She was all in last night, man. She, I called her on my way home from the Lady Raider game. She's like, I was just getting ready to text you. I was just wondering if we can do this. And the Chiefs were leading 17-7 at the time. I'm like, yeah, it's no problem, Mom. I was wrong on that. Jamie, it's Red Raider football. It will still be a root canal. Don't worry about that. Okay. We love to hate them. Then somebody says this, I honestly think y'all are making way too much about the commissioner's comments. The Longhorns didn't need his comments to be, I'll just say blank. They were going to do that either way. Okay.
Yeah, I think.
I'll just leave it at that. I don't know. Sometimes you have to kind of create a little energy.
It's not about the Red Raiders. It's about them, like the whole us against the world mentality, and that they know everybody is rooting against them, and they probably knew it beforehand, but to hear the commissioner say it out loud, I think was probably a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, Red Raiders looking to win 2 in a row over the Austins since the 97-98 season. That's a Spike Dykes team. You won down in Austin on November 8th, 1997, 24-10, and then came back the next year and won here in Lubbock in 98, 42-35 in front of 50,647. That's crazy. There's only been a couple of times because you did it in 93, 94. Spike did have that, tendency to win those big games and lose some ones that you didn't really think you should lose to, but crazy to think that the guy that's the won back-to-back games twice against them, 93, 94, 97, 98, was Spike Dykes, who was an assistant coach way back in the day down in Austin. Somebody says this, I hope the Horns go 3-8 next year. Right. Well, I hope they go 3-9 because they'll play 12 games in the SEC. Somebody says this, Texas will take the Silver Spurs for good. God, I hope not. That'd be sad because we have them right now.
Yeah. I also hope that we keep them.
Yeah, right. Right.
Who do we, when the Aggies and Longhorns are playing each other next year in the SEC, who are we rooting for?
COVID. That's who I'm rooting for in that game.
In that particular situation, I would view that as Red China Russia, a Red China Russia game, and I would take the opinion of whoever it would hurt the most. In other words, if
one of them was undefeated,
yeah, right. Whoever it hurts the most, I would like to see fall. Or if it's a home game for one versus a home game for the other. But generally speaking, whoever it hurts the most. It's kind of how I would that's kind of the approach that I might take on that.
I think the majority of the time I'll be rooting for the Longhorns.
Okay. Yeah. Against the Aggies. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. All right, well, do you think once this game is played on Friday that's the last time that it'll be played in your lifetime? Because you have a maybe potentially longer lifespan than me because you're younger than me.
First off, I don't lose much sleep over it.
Okay.
I think there are plenty of teams out there that I love for the Red Raiders to play against, and I get excited for. And if we don't ever play the Longhorns again, it's not going to break my heart. I think we'll play them again in basketball and in baseball in the regular season. Yeah, I guess so.
You guess so that you don't think that we'll play them?
Yeah, I guess we won't play them again.
Yeah, I just don't think we'll play them again.
I don't think it will be the same situation like it feels like it is with A&M, though. A&M will not play Texas Tech unless we are playing in the Bowl Championship Series at the end where it's lined up because that's where seeding is. If Tech and A&M ever get lined up in a bowl game, A&M's going to have the SEC pull them out of it and put somebody else in there. We've seen that. I don't feel like Texas would do that. I feel like Texas would be like, oh, cool, we're playing Texas Tech this week in this bowl game or whatever it is. I don't feel like that's the same situation. And I think your chances of playing Texas are greater than playing A&M in the future.
We get this. My bunch of stars hate has always lied with TU. I always rooted for the Aggies in that game. Won. Got that down one. This will never cheer for Texas. And then get this, Aggies.
Okay. Yeah, seems like
all right,
I'm
too
going
much
against
Aggie love. Stop it.
Seems like I'm going against the grain here.
We're covered. No more Aggie love. We're good.
Yeah. Well,
stop it.
It's okay to swim with the salmon every once in a while, Jamie.
Okay.
Go upstream. 7:25. Jamie's got a question for us. That'll be next here this morning on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 90.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Time now for Jamie's question of the day on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3.
Okay, I want to go back to our conversation we had a little bit earlier about should we have one dedicated rival that we play every year in football?
Mm-hmm.
And so the question is, who is that team? If you were picking one, who would it be? Part of my reasoning for saying I don't feel like it has to be one is that I think that's hard to choose. I think they're, any of the three Big 12 Texas schools and Oklahoma State, especially those four in the mix, would all kind of fit into the category for me.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're picking just one, who's the one? And part of my thinking is that it would be difficult for the Big 12 obviously, if you're talking Kansas or Kansas State, okay, we know who that is, right?
Sure.
Simple.
Mm-hmm.
That's simple,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's harder for the rest of the schools, and that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay, I think TCU and Baylor, just because of their proximity, the closeness between the two. I think Cincinnati and West Virginia are natural rivals. Iowa State may have a similar challenge to us in that regard, but I would say for me, who I would like to see you play every year, I'd like to see you play Oklahoma State every year, home and away in football. I'd like to see you play Oklahoma State every year in basketball, home and away, both on the men's and women's side, and baseball, home and away.
Okay. You're not going to play them home and away in football.
I know, but I meant every other year.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I don't mean like twice you're going to...
Well, you said the same thing for basketball. Okay, basketball, you will play them home and away.
Right. But I meant
home or away?
Home or away.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. Home or away, yeah. Home or away. That's who I'd like you to see you play every year in football.
Chuck makes a really good point with regards to Baylor and TCU, how close those two schools are location-wise for natural rival. And which would lead me to put Houston, because it's got to be a in-state rivalry. That's when they get juicy, because it's not just if you live in Texas and Texas is playing Oklahoma, you lean toward Texas because that's where you live, and Oklahoma sucks. Like, that's why Texas doesn't fall off into the Gulf of Mexico.
I've heard that rumor.
It's there's that kind of mindset that goes when it's between two different states.
Mm-hmm.
That it's my state versus your state, which is where I also don't want it to necessarily be Oklahoma State, because I feel like it would be trying to create what you had with Texas and Oklahoma in the Big 12. And I kind of want something new. I get that's what it could be, that it could be the big rivalry of the two. But I would always feel like it's version 2.0, that it's not the original, that you're trying to make a copy of something in that specific game. Of all the other teams in the Big 12, I hate to say Houston, but that's the one that fits. I don't think of we would be the Texas to their Texas Tech in this, where I don't think it's a rivalry, but that would be the game, taking away the Baylor and the TCU aspect of it, that I have to point to.
I mean, if you're talking proximity, I mean, that's 8 hours away.
The proximity for Baylor and TCU makes that one a no-brainer. I get it why they did that.
I mean, why can't
Baylor play Houston?
Yeah, I mean,
that's not what they chose.
That's 2 hours and 52 minutes away. You go play Houston. We'll take TCU.
Well, you didn't say I could fix everything.
and you know what? I would be fine with TCU. You just asked me for my opinion. My backup would be TCU.
Yeah, no, I think you guys are both making sense on some of what you're saying. I would choose TCU. Would be my number one, no question, and nobody else is even close. But with what Chuck is saying, which I think is making sense, with the fact that if you're just gonna couple TCU and Baylor together, then you get into the boat of, okay, I do feel like Oklahoma State's a better option for Tech, just because I feel like they're similar schools so many different ways. Mm-hmm. We know some of the reasons why. I feel like that fits for the Red Raiders. I don't feel like Houston does. So who's Houston's rival? I mean, who are they? Are they with Iowa State, Chuck?
And we've just allowed them to be in the Big 12. I mean, it's like I hope that we haven't awakened a, quote, sleeping giant with Houston. I don't think we have, because to a degree we did with TCU, but you could also make a case that TCU was
they were already awake.
They were already awake, and they were already pretty good. I mean, they were good in baseball. They were good in football, no matter what league they played, and even in some leagues that they didn't even play a game in. And they were. I always felt like TCU could be and should be a great basketball school, given the talent that's in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That they should be better than they have been.
Yeah, but don't you feel like this is factored into the Big 12's decision not to have that one for everybody, right? Is because not everybody has one that makes sense. I
guess, yeah. But there are some schools that are going to play each other every year in every sport. Mm-hmm. It just goes back. I mean, it just goes back to, I hate what's happened with all these conferences, with all the breakups and all the mismatches and things like that. I mean, let's face it. The only way that some of these rivalries that have been broken up, whether it's Tech Texas or Tech A&M or somebody along those lines, Kansas Missouri, they're going to play this year in basketball. But it's going to be a money game. I mean, if
that's what all this is about in the first place.
Absolutely. No, there's no question. If somebody in television decides, hey, Tech and Texas or Tech and A&M is worth X number of millions of dollars to each school, then they're going to go, yeah, we're playing that game.
Yeah, but I mean, ultimately, this came down to, at a certain point, the athletic directors across the country said, well, the television networks are saying we'll make more money if we do this. Mm-hmm. So the athletic directors across the country said, we don't care about these rivalries anymore. We care about money.
There's no question. I mean,
and I'm not trying to tell you I'm being critical of that, but that's the truth of it.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
The ADs said, we don't care about the rivalries. We care about money.
Yeah, and so you can't just blame it on the TV guys, because the schools have all been a party to this.
Yes, absolutely.
The schools have all been a party to this. It's not just television that's caused this breakup. The schools allowed this to happen.
And where does TV get their money? From fans watching the advertising. The fans are part of this.
There's no question, yeah.
We were watching those other games,
nobody's going to refuse to watch.
It's also unfortunate at the end of the day.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Thanks for being with us. We got to tell me I'm right or tell me I'm wrong. Jeff McGuire's got the facts on that.
Facts is really
opinion. How about that? Opinion
of what this is. Opinion definitely is where this goes. We've seen a lot from Tech fans over the years of this team needs to focus more and gear up for this game because this is important. It's not enough where we've gotten. And this year's no exception. With the win last week over UCF, we've seen it today on the chat line. We saw it yesterday on the chat line that, this team can't think that it's enough to be, 6-5 at this point, that they've got to win this week. And we've seen in the past about other games throughout the course of the season that, of other seasons where the chat line or the fan base on Twitter or whatever it is, reiterating that this is an important game, being against Texas or whoever that week's opponent was. I don't feel like in the last 6 years, 5 years, probably, 5 would probably be a better example of this, that's needed to be said. It continues to be said. But I have not questioned the team's effort, ability, difference, effort in going into these games for a while. I don't think this team isn't looking at Texas as an important game. I don't think they looked at UCF as not an important game, or Kansas, or Iowa State, or Baylor, or BYU, or Wyoming when they got there and played. They might not have executed. They might not have had the talent on the field to win. But I don't feel like we've seen a give-up game in quite some time around here.
When do you think the last time you saw a give-up game was?
Wycliffe. A couple Iowa State games really come to mind. I don't know when the last one was that the team just, I felt like, got down and didn't ever get back up off the mat.
No,
were you here for the Matt Wells era?
Well,
I never felt like they gave up. I felt like they didn't have the talent. They didn't have the execution.
Show up,
yeah. Second half of the K-State game, we're still looking for them to come out of the locker room.
That was more... It was different in the Cliff era, that it felt like... maybe it's just me, and that's why you get to tell me I'm wrong. I don't feel like that's needed to be said, and it continues to be said.
Okay,
that the team needs to be told how important this game is. I think they're aware, and I don't feel like that needs to be said about any game you've played for a while.
I feel like you've come out flat a few times. I don't know if that has to do with the team not being ready or whatever. I mean, I think we can look back to Baylor last year as one where it felt like that was the only time where...
You were overwhelmed, maybe.
Yeah, he just didn't come out, at times this year your offense has been a little bit rough early on in games, but your defense has always been right there keeping you in the games. So you can't say, well, this team didn't show up. You can say, well, the offense hasn't really put together a terrific performance, but your defense was there.
But have you ever felt like the offense wasn't trying?
No.
I think they were trying and just failing. And that's the difference.
Yeah, I don't ever remember. I don't know.
That's so subjective.
Trying? like you're telling, right? You're trying to tell me that you were watching Texas Tech play football when Cliff Kingsbury was the head coach, and you felt like guys were out there not trying.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not going there. There's no way. No way for me.
Yeah, I can't sign off on that. I'm going to tell you you're wrong on that. I think they've all come out trying to win. I don't think anybody's laying down and saying, Olay.
But I think Coach McGuire has done a better job with his guys being extremely motivated. Okay? And whether that's because they feel they have more to play for, whether that's because they take more pride in the program, whether that's because maybe the players during this era have more respect for the head coach and they want to play hard for him. I think all of those things could factor into it. So I kind of agree with what Jeff's saying that you don't have to tell the team this is an important game and this is not an important game. They play hard. I can get behind, we didn't look as motivated as we have been for other games, or, it just didn't look like we played as hard. But I can't get behind we weren't trying. I can't get behind that. So your first part of it, you're right. That little addition to it, I'm saying you're wrong.
Yeah, I think I would even go back to the Sonny Cumbie portion of the 2021 year, where it felt like that there was a lot of effort given, that they clawed and scrapped and found a way to get themselves bowl eligible. And I think
guys were having fun playing for Coach Cumbie compared to what it was with Coach Wells. It just felt different. And Coach McGuire, after the game on Saturday, he cited the leadership of his players and helping keep the locker room together and helping keep the message going forward of basically not giving up, and you still have a lot to play for. And that doesn't just happen overnight. That culture is created by the coaching staff in the off season and and during fall camp, and then so that when times do get tough, that you can kind of rally together and band together. You can't have those conversations or can't expect that kind of response when the times get tough. I mean, you have to be prepared for that going in. And he cited Jalen Hutchings and Tony Bradford and Gino Garcia. And he brought his name up as well, and he pointed to where these guys sit in that Spike Dykes meeting room. He's like, Gino Garcia's over here, and Jalen Hutchins here, and Tony Bradford's here, and they have these conversations in the locker room with the players. And he cited that keeping the message of what they're trying to communicate and together is helping them get through the rough patch, so to speak, of the season. When they weren't as healthy. So anyway, I think you're right. I think the last couple of years they have fought and played hard and came out and given their all. I don't think anybody's laid down per se. I think it's a different demeanor with Coach McGuire versus Coach Kingsbury. I mean, it's a different approach. Sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. And what do we know about great coaches? Great players make great coaches. You have a puzzled look on your face.
It's usually the opposite. Great players don't make great coaches.
No, I think they do.
I think they do.
There's not a lot of great coaches who don't have great players playing for them.
Oh, I was thinking of the same individual from a great player to becoming a great coach.
No.
I stand corrected. Yes, great players may, in that regard, yes.
Yeah, right.
Usually it's the mediocre player that becomes the great coach because he had to learn how to do all the things and try all the things.
I think sometimes great players don't make. I think that's history has said that just because you were a great player doesn't necessarily make you a great coach. You can be. It doesn't necessarily make it them. We get this from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Greetings from Buenos Aires. Hey, greetings to you. Thanks for dialing us in this morning on the morning drive.
This has been the Morning Drive podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet973.com.